On this emergency episode of Star Trek Universe, Strange New Worlds is coming to an end. We'll be talking all about it after those words from Randolph and Mortimer Duke, the greedy, scurrilous, heartless sons of a bitch who own Duke & Duke, a Philadelphia commodities brokerage.
Welcome to Star Trek Universe, the podcast where you get to listen in on two lifelong friends sit and chat about Star Trek. My name is Matthew Carroll.
I'm David C. Robertson.
Enjoyed your trading places.
I was wondering
reference.
if you would get it.
Of course.
And of course, coming to America.
Yeah.
We're back, Mortimer.
We're back. All right. Well, so we're going to make this one quick. We just recorded an hour and a half long episode yesterday and posted it. So we're going to make this one a quick one, but it's because they dropped some news on us. What you got, Dave?
Yeah, I feel like we have more power. There's power in our words. And I didn't realize how powerful we were.
I know, right? I know.
All we said was the trailer was a little bad, you know? The marketing was bad on the trailer. We didn't mean for you to cancel the show, Paramount.
That's interesting. I took it very differently, but different words we said.
What were the different words we said?
Go ahead and tell the news thing so we can get to... like, people are hearing us talk about the thing without knowing what we're talking about if you don't tell them.
All right, so Strange New Worlds was canceled, kinda. It was renewed for a 5th and final season, and that season will have 6 episodes.
Right, and this is the 3rd coming up, right?
This is the 3rd that's about to premiere, so we've got
being canceled is
episodes.
Definitely a I feel like that's not really what you say here. Like they say in the release it's their 5 season, which was always their vision.
That's
it's
bullshit,
5,
by the way.
Right, sure, maybe. But
no, not maybe. We literally talked about this on the show. Akiva Goldsmith was saying, we'll go 10 years right into TOS if Paramount lets us.
Okay, yeah.
That actually pissed me off.
That's funny. I could see at some point that being the vision, given that it's, the 5-year mission idea. Yeah. But I don't care. Maybe that was someone's vision at some point, and other people had other ideas. The fact this is more like a calling your shot than it is a cancellation. Like, this is a renewal for a final season,
right? When
we still haven't gotten 2 of the seasons, so we're getting 5 seasons of Strange New Worlds,
right?
So this doesn't feel like a cancellation to me. It's going to be a long run, and I think it's sort of like Lost when we knew it had 6 seasons and it was going to stop. We were like, okay, now they can really get down to the business of ending this show well, and I think that's a great thing for the show. I don't feel like knowing it's going to be 5 seasons at this point is a bad thing at all.
I'm glad they have episodes to wrap it. I'm glad they get more than Discovery got, which was an episode.
Well, like in 10 minutes, really.
10 minutes of an episode, yeah.
Yeah, 10 minutes at the end of the episode to wrap it. They get 2 full seasons to wrap it, right? They haven't even shot season 4, or have they already shot season 4?
They've shot 4.
Okay, so they get a full season to wrap it. That's still a lot.
They don't have a full season. They have 6 episodes.
They've already shot 14 episodes of.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure they're done with. They wrapped it, I think.
Wait, I thought the thing was they're getting it renewed for a 5th and final season.
They have shot...
If they hadn't been renewed for the 5th season, how have they already shot some of the 5th season?
No, they've shot the 4th season. The 5th season will only be 6 episodes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that yet.
They've already shot season 4.
Okay, so 6 episodes. All right, that is more like just let's wrap it up. That's not a full season. That's more sad for me.
Yeah, there's now they have a little room to fuck around with the editing, and try to figure out what they want to do, but
and they can add time to, like, it's a streaming show. A lot of these shows that are just streaming will do things like, the last season, 4 of the episodes will be an hour and a half long or some shit. Mm-hmm. Like Stranger Things is about to wrap its final season. I think it's 3 2-hour episodes or whatever, so who knows what that 6 episodes will be.
Yeah. And I've got mixed feelings, because I'm glad they get 6 episodes to wrap it.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than they gave Discovery.
Yep.
And let's be fair, it's more than they gave Lower Decks, but I'm not surprised by this. I'm actually shocked that they gave them 6 episodes. I kind of thought with everything going on, with Paramount being sold to Skydance, and God knows, no streamer except for Netflix has made money yet, and has actually been profitable. I mean, they've clearly made money, but Star Trek is a very, very, especially Strange New Worlds, is a very, very expensive show to make.
Yeah.
And it show, we haven't seen yet what they're doing on the Nielsen top 10 streaming, because that wasn't around the last time they were out, I don't think, but I'm sure they'll do fine on that. They'll wind up on it, but none of these Star Trek shows are making the money that they want to make.
Right, sure.
So I have, with new ownership coming in soon, I have not been shocked by any of this cancellation of Star Trek. I can't believe they're still doing Starfleet Academy. I just kind of thought they'd write it off, honestly, at this point. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, that's why it is wild. I do wonder with Starfleet Academy if they're wrapping this up, which is, I would think, one of the more popular Star Treks. I'm not sure.
It is, yes.
Yeah, I know it's had a really strong reception compared to other things, and people have been excited about it. So yeah, it's weird that it's getting wrapped, or it's weird that they're wrapping this and not letting us know that they're wrapping other things, because that's the thing. We were talking a lot of it yesterday on that Behemoth episode, that about how if they're going to sell it, and if we were in charge of Star Trek, we would not necessarily wrap Strange New Worlds, but we would try to take these shows that have been released on the Discovery and its spinoffs and release them, make them a separate universe, kind of close that loop and be like, this was all a Burnham universe that sort of spun off, and then maybe move on and do something else. That was my idea, and we were kind of talking about how that seems to make the most sense, because it would fix a lot of canon problems and whatever, and they could move on telling the Star Trek story that's been told through Picard and still the most popular sort of like line, that prime timeline. So I think it kind of feels like somebody's thinking about that. Like they're like, all right, let's start wrapping. Because if this is their most popular and they're deciding to wrap it, it kind of feels like they're starting to wrap this stuff up. They don't want to end it immediately, but they want to wrap it well, and then probably have the good thing about wrapping this show in 2 years or whatever, it gives them 2 years of runtime. I wonder if there are people starting to think about like, okay, what's the new relaunch going to be? Like, what's it going to look like when we wrap these shows? And it worries me that Academy is going to get I would love Academy to be great. It's got great people in it, but I'm worried if they are starting to think about wrapping all this, it's going to get the Section 31 treatment where they're going to like have enough of a season written, and then they're going to be like, let's just pack it in and do it all in a movie, and it's going to be bad. And that's what I'm worried about.
I'm worried about that. I'm worried about, several things, but I think I'm very curious to know what as we talked about a couple months ago, William Shatner having said that he was approached about a Kirk project where Kirk would be the main character.
Right.
I'm curious what the situation is with that. If that is a thing that is happening, they are going to have to pay Shatner out the ass. They approached him for a cameo in Enterprise for like an arc, and he was so expensive they couldn't do it.
Yeah, I just think that if a show, like, I think you're sure he might try to charge them a lot, but he's also not doing a lot right now. And I think if they stroked his ego a little bit and let him, tell the kind of story he wanted to tell, and it was more, I always thought that cameo thing was less about money and more about, like, he's like, sure, I'll do a cameo for a lot of money, but if you want to make me star of a show and like actually respect me, you might get a little like less expensive if you're actually like doing a project that means something to you,
Yeah. I don't know. I'm one of the things I'm very concerned about is this David Ellis character buying National Amusements and buying Paramount essentially.
Who, I don't know anything about this. Who's David Ellison?
He's a guy. His family his family put up most of the money for him purchasing this controlling stake. A lot of people seem to not be a big fan of him, and I don't know anything about him. Big, billionaire type, and I don't know. I don't know really anything about him.
Yeah, let me just take this moment to say that billionaires shouldn't exist. But
when you say, hey, here's a billionaire whose family is rich and they're buying a controlling stake in a company who produces something that you love. Mm-hmm. And then I also look at the licensing and how the money that comes in from merchandise on Star Trek is almost exclusively merchandise from the original series and the Next Generation.
Right, sure. Those are just the iconic imagery. I mean, those ships are the icons, and unfortunately, I feel they haven't. To be an icon, you have to be out there. You have to be making content for everyone. Like, I think about how Doctor Who has done such a good job on their relaunch, the new generation of Doctor Who, where there's a lot of fans that are new, and they really embrace the fact that it's still a show for all ages, and that's what Star Trek used to be. I've been saying this since we started this podcast. I was upset at how they were sort of bifurcating everything. I think they need to do more like the Doctor Who model, make it fun, make it exciting, but keep it adult enough that it's still meaty for the adults. I don't know. I just want them to make a Star Trek show that's kind of undeniable. And I feel like nothing that's on the table, even Legacy, honestly, I want it, but I don't think it's undeniable. And I think there's a lot of people out there who would not be interested in the show that's like Picard's son. That's not bringing new people in. That's something for the fans. It's red meat for the base. It's not for a kid who doesn't know, how do you get these kids off anime and onto Star Trek,
Yeah, I think my biggest fear is, I don't think they'll completely shutter Star Trek completely because it makes too much money as far as merch. But if you're looking at the merch and you're like, the thing that sells is original series stuff and Next Generation stuff, that might get us Legacy. That might get us Legacy. But what I'm afraid of is it'll be what it'll also get us is weird fucking AI resurrecting people from the grave. Yeah, and not realizing that hey, most of the Star Trek fans are super liberal and don't want to see just a gross misrepresentation of actors we loved. That's the kind of thing that I'm afraid of, and
it's the sort of thing that I don't think is. I think it's inevitable to some degree.
I do too,
and I think it is a thing we're going to see. But I just want it to be done tastefully. If it's going to be done, and I think it probably will be.
Yeah,
I'm okay if it's done tastefully. I mean, you watched that. We were talking about it that project where they had that one. DH or that Spock on the mountain looking down at the Kirk's death place. You know what I'm talking about? Basically the beginning of the book, The Return, or Ashes of Eden, and we were so excited by that. And it's just if you do stuff like that, where you're just capturing a really true to life version of that character, and then tell the story with actors playing the roles, but give it sort of those moments of touching on the old characters, and of course the people that are still alive. There's if William Shatner wanted to come back and do some motion capture and actually capture his acting and be able to de-age him and put it, I would have no problem with that. What they did with Harrison Ford for Indiana Jones, you know what I mean? This last Indiana Jones movie was amazing. It looked perfect, and it was a 15-minute long sequence, and it was really, really amazing. So these actors that are still alive and still able to make those decisions for themselves, I can see really doing that. A Kirk show set back then, you know what I mean? With William Shatner actually playing the role, like that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess I'm concerned about billionaire politics changing Star Trek into something that shouldn't be.
Oh, for sure. Me too. Again, billionaires shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
And when I say that, just to be clear, I don't mean the people shouldn't exist. I mean we should structure our society in a way that doesn't allow for people to get this far ahead without supporting the bottom part of our society.
Yeah.
That is what I mean.
And I'm also concerned about them replacing people in Star Trek, like writers and creatives in Star Trek, with people who do not have those essential beliefs and ideals.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'd be out. Yeah, that would really kill it for me if we had Star Trek that was like trying to be like, I don't know anything about David Ellison. Is he a right winger? Is that what you're getting at?
I don't know. I mean, if he's just a billionaire, I kind of assume he is, but that might not be fair.
Yeah, there are billionaires who don't feel that way. I still think that the idea of a billionaire, I don't know, who knows? This guy might be like a guy who may have wonderful inline beliefs or whatever, like who knows? But like with the Star Trek ideals, but it's rare, of course, because the incentives are, if you're a billionaire, you want to keep your money, and you don't want to, like social programs.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he's been in charge of, he's been CEO of Skydance for a long time, and Skydance, did the J.J. Abrams movies. I haven't seen a whole lot of like anything, politically untoward, I guess, in those movies or anything.
Yeah, me neither. And like those movies. So you say that, and I'm not gonna say it's untoward, but I do think those movies kind of just avoid the big questions. They turned, as we've talked about many times, they're kind of Star Trek, but they're kind of Star Wars. They're just sort of like this simplified good versus evil. Let's fight some battles. Mostly, I think Beyond is a little different.
Actually, I would say Star Wars is way more political than those 3 Star Trek movies.
It depends on which Star Wars you're talking about, because I think the prequels are a lot more political. I don't think the original trilogy is very political.
I think they are more than people give them credit for, but
yeah, I mean, they're anti-fascist, but it's not like they're actually talking about. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a big Star Wars guy, so I don't know all the like I know the build out and the lore, and I know that George Lucas originally envisioned it as like the rebels were supposed to be representing like the Viet Cong, and it was like an anti-Vietnam War movie. So like absolutely it was political, and absolutely it was left wing and like all that stuff. But like it's not like sitting there until now. Like these days, it is absolutely like if you watch Andor, it is talking about directly about Donald Trump.
Yeah,
like in a big way. The Emperor is, the Empire is doing like 1984 type stuff, and it's just absolutely these speeches that are, in Mothma, Mon Mothma, in the one of the last episodes of Andor gives like a rousing speech about how democracy dies when the truth dies, and like it's great. It's really great. I love it, but the old Star Wars wasn't that. It's definitely like anti-fascism, but not. I don't know that it goes much further than that.
And here it is. I don't feel good. You said we'll keep it to 10 minutes, and I'm the one that made it longer.
I don't know who I've been talking to.
Like I get these things. I see. I start worrying about shit like this because I'm like, I'm not gonna cry about Strange New Worlds ending. It's a good enough show, but at the same time, I'm like looking at where the franchise is heading, and I'm like, what are we as Star Trek fans going to be getting? Yeah.
We've been eating good for a few years, and I do feel like we're about to. I mean, I've already felt the pullback. Like for a while, it felt like every week for like 2 years we got an episode, and then and then it's suddenly this last 2 years maybe it's felt like we get like 4 months off, then we get a show for 10 weeks, then we get 3 months off, and they're starting to space them out more and more. And I think it's just trying to keep us subscribed to Paramount Plus while giving us while spending less money on content.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, maybe that's a way to turn a profit, but it's a bummer.
If I were this guy, though, I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd come in and I'd do a big movie with William Shatner, Paul Wesley, and Chris Pine. Multiverse spanning Star Trek epic. Except none of those guys would be the star. Will Wheaton would be the star.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, go Doctor Who with it.
Yeah, man.
The interesting thing, talking about the Doctor Who of it all, the thing that has become more iconic, even now than it was before, is the blue box, and they didn't change it. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like if you had taken the Enterprise, the no bloody A, no bloody B, and like done the thing with it, where you just like keep telling stories in that Enterprise, you know what I mean? Like, and somehow kept it going.
Well, the TARDIS changes, it gets scuffed up.
Sure.
Yeah, like, but it's still a blue box. It's still iconic.
Right. It's still like you could have one from that you bought in the 50s and one that you bought now, and you could still recognize it. It's the iconography. And like, obviously one of the things we like as Star Trek fans, I think, is new ships. But like changing our old ships, like who was asking for that? J.J. Abrams? Like who was asking for that?
Yeah, it is a little weird. It's a little weird. And also Strange New Worlds, like, Discovery did it. Like, I'm like, that ship doesn't look like my Enterprise.
I'm just going for like the guy who did it first. I mean, like, obviously there were always changes. Always. Yeah. From episode to episode in the original series. But like
shot to shot,
right?
Because they were using two or three different models, like,
right. But the idea that let's make the Enterprise, but just like completely change it. It's like, why? And now I feel like Star Trek is so split. So many different fans that love different stuff and different things about Star Trek, and it's just it's the same problem with all media, honestly. But Star Trek hasn't stayed unified. It feels like it's been very like split apart. There are people that love Discovery and the stuff they did on that show. There are people that's their Star Trek. And like and there's people who like love Strange New Worlds and the direction and the kind of campy, let's just not care about canon and do whatever we want stuff that they're doing on Strange New Worlds. And there's people that like really want to go back to the old canon and stick with it. And it's just like you're never going to please everybody, but like the way they've splintered things, which I've been preaching against as long as we've been doing this podcast, has made it 10 times worse because there's nothing to rally around. There's not an icon for the new era. Like I got nothing. I think about like what is an icon of the new Star Trek era? Like I got nothing that I want to put on my wall. Maybe obviously I would like a poster here and there, but like even the Picard series was only like going back to old stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes, but I think their best chance for an icon right now is 7 of 9.
Yeah, I think she is still. I was, so it's funny you say that. Like when I said there's no icon, my thoughts went to 7 of 9 could be. Yeah. So I'm right there with you. I think that 7 of 9 still looking like 7 of 9 a little bit, but having the new, in a Starfleet uniform, whatever version of the Starfleet uniform they go with. If they modernize the do some new update on the Starfleet uniform and make her and Jack and everybody else on the ship, like they could be the new icons for sure.
Yeah. But these companies have got to fucking figure out how to make streaming work.
Yeah.
Because they're killing TV. Like all of them are cutting off. Like you saw the HBO Max shit, right? Or the Warner Brothers shit where they announced they were splitting TV off into its own thing, and streaming and film were going to be in its own company.
No,
they're basically like, and they're putting all of the fucking debt of Warner Brothers on the shoulders of this TV branch.
Okay,
they are killing television.
Yeah, that's going to kill television for sure.
NBC is doing a very similar deal.
And they haven't figured out how to make streaming work. So what funds television past now? And the truth is, about streaming is there's just too much. As a society, things make money when they become very popular. And like when you make a billion things, it's great because there's just content for everyone. There's very specific things for everyone. But we make too much now. No one can keep up. even if there's a lot of stuff you want to watch, you can't watch it all. And I think they're making too much TV is being produced, and that is why nothing's making money, because everyone's trying to like put their own thing out there. Every company is trying to like make their own streaming service. And if they just sort of slowed down and everyone sort of pooled their efforts and made like a streaming service work, and Hulu kind of did this with like multiple companies coming in and like being like, we're going to make Hulu and it's going to be a streaming service and we're all in on it and we're all going to make content for this. But then it slowly got bought out by Disney, and now Disney just owns that.
Mm-hmm. I think we're going to wind up seeing a lot of these companies are starting to realize they're going to make money. They're making money off of taking stuff off of their platform and licensing it out to things like Tubi and Pluto.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing a lot of that now. And, you know, what does Tubi and Pluto do? Fucking ads.
Sure.
Everybody, and the other platforms are starting to be like, well, we'll start doing ads.
Yeah, or you can pay an extra $4 for ad free. That's what Amazon's doing now. Yeah,
but I think some of these things are going to go away, and the networks themselves, the companies themselves, will just license stuff out to Tubi and Pluto and other free services.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. There's certain services like Amazon Prime and Apple have an interesting model where you pay for the service, but then right next to it, you're selling them stuff. You got Amazon where it's like, all right, here's all the shows you get for free. Oh, you clicked on one that's $10. Don't you want to watch it? And like Apple's the same way. You go on Apple and you're like, oh, I get this great library of content. Oh, there's that movie that was just in theaters. Oh, $20. Oh, well, I'm at home. I'll watch it for $20. You know, like it's right there. Yeah. And I think that's another model that's really is working. And I don't know if it may not be working. Their streaming service might not be making money, but their streaming service is an ad for them to sell you more movies and TV.
Yeah. And I'm not a rich man, but it worked on us.
Well, it works on me.
We were on Apple TV over a couple months ago. Wanted to watch Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Fantastic show if you haven't seen it. And it was on Apple. That's the only place it was streaming. But we had to buy it. We bought it.
Yeah.
We went, fuck it. This money will go towards making sure that Shrinking gets another season. By God. Another fantastic show. I don't know how Apple does this. I mean, I know kind of how they do it. Everything they have is so overpriced. Like, they don't even need to make their TV shows profitable. They're just like, we're just going to make really high-end shit. Enjoy it.
And they've said that. They've said that like their streaming service isn't really to make money. It's a marketing platform for all their stuff. And yeah, and I think that's true for their content people buy, but it's also true that just like the name Apple is being associated with another prestige thing. So for the rest of like another prestige television show, and it's amazing, and it's an Apple TV show. And I tell people all the time, Apple is pound for pound, like the best hit rate of anything I've seen. Like I have not seen a show on Apple TV I was disappointed with.
I mean, I'll never forgive them for canceling the Big Door Prize, but
I never saw that.
Oh, it was so good.
Doesn't sound like my kind of thing. It's sort of a game show type thing.
Oh no, it was fantastic. You would have loved it.
Oh, okay.
It was a Chris O'Dowd show.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, where like everyone is like getting these cards from this machine, and it's like telling them what their truth is or who they truly are, and everyone's changing their life in this town, upending their entire existence. And then there's like all this mystery surrounding it, like where it came from. And
it didn't get an ending.
No, it didn't.
That's a bummer, because I did see commercials for that, and I thought it looked like a really interesting show.
Oh, it was fantastic.
That's a bummer. Well, man, I really do need to get off of here because
me too.
We said we were going to do 10 minutes, and I don't know how long we're at now, but
I know how we are.
But I'm Star Trek will go on. We'll see how it goes on. And this guy who may be buying it is billionaire.
No, he is, but yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if he is, and it goes through and everything, he's buying their parent company of their parent company or whatever. Like, he's not necessarily even caring about Star Trek. So who knows? He might like leave it alone. He might figure out a way to like just pick the right people to be in it. You know, he might be smart enough to pick the right people. But I don't trust any one man with that much power.
Paramount's two big franchises are Mission Impossible and Star Trek. That's what they got.
and Mission Impossible is supposedly over.
It's not. We all know that. You know,
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is officially on social media, like pimping. What's that guy's name? Glenn Powell from.
To be the new.
To be the next face of Mission Impossible.
Yeah, the way it ended, they did a really good job in the Final Reckoning of like building up a few characters around Ethan. They always have. They've always been good characters, but like they left it off in a place where like Ethan actually, like one of the things I didn't like about the movie was they did a lot of stuff where Ethan was by himself and his team was off doing something else, but it did two things. It made me feel less like a Mission Impossible movie because a lot of the Mission Impossible movies to me are Ethan talking to, Simon Pegg and being like, "Why are you doing this to me? You're doing this. You're messing me up." And they did a lot of Final Reckoning where Ethan was off doing something and Simon was kind of, what's his name in the movie? I'm trying to remember his name. Anyway, Simon Pegg's character is fuck my name.
I haven't seen a Mission Impossible movie since 3.
Oh man, that's is it the J.J. Abrams one?
The first, the J.J. Abrams one with Kerry Russell and
Benji. Benji is Simon Pegg's character's name. I just podcasted about this movie. I feel very embarrassed.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That's the one that like sort of revamped the franchise and kind of past that kept moving on and I think got better and better.
Well, they had to revamp it after that fucking Mission Impossible 2. John Woo and slow motion dubs and shit.
The bike, there's weird bike stuff in there that like makes no sense. I don't know. That we covered it on Bingers Assemble, and the 2 is such a weird outlier.
Dougray Scott being the most wooden villain ever.
Yeah, 1 feels really dated when you rewatch it. I
loved 1, and I haven't seen it in years. I haven't seen it since.
I love 1 now. It's great, but it feels dated. And
it's interesting.
It just feels like an older movie. And you would love it. You love older movies. I love some older movies.
I don't love all older movies. I love some older movies.
I think I'm saying when you like the fact that it's old, I think is a plus for you.
I don't know about that either.
For me, sometimes it's a little bit of a negative. I get lost in the older pacing. Sometimes I get just a little run down. Like, come on, move the story along. Like, I don't need this long establishing shot. Whatever.
The age is just an adjustment for me generally.
Yeah. So I think the first movie, it's great. It's amazing. There's some amazing scenes in there that hold up really, really well. But I think overall, it just feels like it was made in the 90s.
Yeah.
And it was. It's a good movie, but it feels like it was made in the 90s. But from 3 on, feel like very solid and of a piece. They feel very like they were making the same franchise. They figured out what it was with 3, I think. And it goes back to the first one. I think they pull a lot from what the first one was, and they build out the third one, and then the fourth one, and the fifth one, and the sixth one, and the seventh one. I think the 8th one is the last. The Final Reckoning. I think that's right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's a fun series. It really is. But what my point was with all of that is in the last one, they split Ethan off and have him doing all this crazy stunts for a bunch of the movie. And then Benji is with the team, and it's kind of like a new team. Like it's got some of the old people in it and some like brand new characters. And they really build those characters up and give them a lot of rapport. And I was like, I would watch them in a Mission Impossible 9, like without anyone else. Like they don't need a new Ethan Hunt. They need like, that these 6 people would be a great team. And like having Benji, who's always been sort of the side character, who's sort of the joke, step into a leadership role in this one was really cool.
Cool. Yeah, I've always wanted to go back and watch them. I just never have.
I like them. I like them a lot.
They got lost in my shuffle, man.
I understand. All right. Well, we'll be back soon, guys. Emergency 10-minute pod. Here you go. Like a 40-minute pod. Joel and True.
Live long and prosper.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.
Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked number 1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and number 2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.